All right,
Okay.
so recording is now, and fellow Toastmasters, I would like to introduce Georgina Volpe-Bjork, Distinguished Toastmaster, as she will be talking about tonight how to organize a contest. So Georgina, let's take it away.
Thanks, Albert. Hello, everybody. I'm so glad you joined. This is the first time I'm doing a webinar, recorded webinar, so I will be definitely learning as everybody else as on tonight's call. I joined Toastmaster program a few years ago. Yeah, that's what I like to say. And it has been an incredible journey. One of the things that really attracted me to the program was attending the conference and attending the contest. And I was really impressed how things were done smoothly. Of course, I had no idea that everybody in the, at the back was freaking out about little things as you learn to freak out or learn not to freak out when things don't go according to the plan, especially during the contest when you're in a time crunch. But I definitely learned a lot of things around how to manage anxiety and carry on successful event. And I've been part of many contests on a club level, area, division, and district, and has been a great journey and a great experience. So I really hope you enjoy yours so far. We will be talking about some fundamentals. I also want to make sure that you are aware we have a lot of resources available at District 86 around the contests. And this is where I went when I started, because I had to make sure I'm prepared. And what I also learned is how to prepare for not being prepared for everything. So that's, again, a great takeaway that helped me a lot with many things within Toastmasters and outside. Without further ado, I will just maybe dive into the first slide, and I think this might be the one that most of people on the bridge want to really make sure they understand well, because there were some changes in the way District 86, what contests we do in District 86. And it is very important that this is clear to everybody, and it's very important to understand why. So this is part where I would I can't see your hands or faces, but I would definitely like to get some feedback as far as, is this clear to most of the people on the bridge, what contests we do today in District 86? Feel free to go on mute. But yeah, maybe some feedback from somebody as far as what contests are we doing, which contests are mandatory, which contests are not. Okay, excellent. Gloria, yes, the international and evaluation, that is correct. So international, thanks Gloria, international is a must, as we know. Evaluation was a choice. So we had to choose between the three that we had outside of the international on the district level, and we chose evaluation, and second year in a row we are doing evaluation speech contest. Other contests can be organized on a club level, and I was also told interclub, because apparently that's also something that some people ask about. So you can go and have other contests, for example, humorous. We do table topics. We used to do table topics as well, or tall tales, where again you can have them on your club level. You absolutely encourage, because contests are fun events and we like to have them. But at the same time, the club level is the only level those can be organized in District 86. Nothing past club level is being done as far as those types. So again, evaluation we still do, just because we do go up to the district with the evaluation, and we do have that level contest now coming spring conference, and international, of course, because we are selecting our best speaker of the year to be sent to the international convention. I just want to make sure I'm allowing other people to come in. Okay. So I just want to make sure everybody's okay with this slide. Are there any questions as far as what I said? Because it is, I have to say, once we started talking about why we're doing it, how we're going to do it. It was a lot of confusion and questions. But as you also know, our district conferences went from 2 times a year to 1 time a year, and that's part of why we also had to reduce the number of contest types we do on the district level. Okay, no questions. So let's move on. And I think now I remember that in Join Me, the PowerPoint doesn't work. Okay, I don't know how to get, there you go. Okay, please go on mute. So because we are recording, we also want to make sure the quality of voice is proper. Okay, so by preparing for this webinar, I will be reaching out to other resources and sharing my screen. I didn't want to reproduce what's already there because, as I said, they're fantastic resources, and we were talking about them in a bit. But I just wanted to pick some of the highlights as far as you know what the contest is about. And one really important thing that helped me with a lot of events, contests in the past was asking these questions, and predominantly question why. You know, why are we organizing contests? And as Parole Book said, and we all know, and we all say that during the prepared parts of the contest, the speech contest provide an opportunity for Toastmasters to gain speaking experience, as well as an opportunity for other Toastmasters to learn by observing proficient speakers. And the why is also something that I will be mentioning as we go through this webinar, because a lot of times when you are faced with I can't say crisis, but you know, a bit of dilemma. Oh, well, how do we manage this? What do we do with this? This why, knowing why we are doing contests, really help sort those questions out. Next question is who, and you know, the clubs are organizing contests. I think that was more than I need definitely to this slide, but so we have clubs, right? The presidents and the executive team. However, at the same time, we often have people doing HPL for, let's say, different levels of the contest, and that's okay. I mean, they form committee, they go through all the phases of their high performance leadership program or the counterpart in the Pathways today. But the reason why I thought this was very important to mention is because somebody does HPL doesn't mean they're responsible to conduct the contest on their level. They're doing it as the project, but at the end of the day, the club president and club executives, they are the ones that own the responsibility of organizing the contest. The area director is the one that owns that responsibility as far as area goes, for example, and division director is the one that owns that as far as division goes. So the fact that somebody is doing HPL doesn't mean that they are the ones responsible for, you know, contests being conducted properly. That responsibility still remains with the leader of the level where the contest is being done. The HPL is just a way for them to grow, to organize the big event, to get the team around them, to grow as a leader. But it's very important to understand that they are not, you know, the area or division director is the one passing that baton in a way to them. But at the end of the day, that doesn't also hand off the responsibility. So, you know, as it comes down to who is responsible, that is still on the leader of the level where the contest is being organized. And I felt this is very important to understand, because if there is any, at any point of time, question, well, who is responsible at the end of the day to conduct the contest properly, that is still with the leader of the organization where the contest is being held. Before I continue, I want to maybe open the floor to see if any of you would like to comment on this, or maybe you have some questions. No? Okay. So the last but not least, of course, when and where. And I learned this by growing as a leader through Toastmaster. It's very important organization. It's very important that the place and the time works for whom it's supposed to work. And now going back to my question, why we have contests is that we need to make sure that can you please go on mute? We have some echo from either TV or some side conversation. Thank you. Sorry, can you go on mute? It's difficult to focus. Thank you. So when and where, going back to my why, it is very important to determine when and where the contest will take place, understanding that contest at the end of the day is there for contestants, right? Is there for them to to come to compete. They prepared for months, and it's very important that works for them. So I know, for example, when I was in Division M, I work in Mississauga. I live in Newmarket. I could pretty much, schedule anywhere between those two areas. But what was very important for me when I asked the previous division director where were contests taking place previously, I was told they're done in this place because it's not close to anybody. It's a fair distance for everybody to come. It's kind of in the middle where everybody is. Like if we look at the areas the division was consisting of, and you know what? At the end of the day, everybody has to put an effort. So this seems to be the best place to have the contest. And I loved it, and I said, okay, I think that's fair, and especially the fact that again, the contest is there for contestants. So if we can do something as organizers to make this event easier for them or less difficult for them, if I would say, then do that. Choose the place that either works for everybody or it doesn't. At least it doesn't work for for everybody in a way that everybody has to put a bit effort, but at the same time everybody has that same disadvantage in a way. Also, as far as when, it's very important to choose. I know, as Albert mentioned previously, the dates were shuffled a bit, and it's very important to follow those recommended times when the district suggests clubs to have contests, when the area should have contests and divisions, because there is a sequence to follow, and I think it's also fair to contestants to allow them to prepare after they won the level, to move to the next level, to allow them some time to prepare for that. So again, at the end of the day, going back to our why we're having contests, it's there for the contestants. This also comes in play when we're talking about what's important when you're organizing a contest. And I know as a Toastmasters, we're all kind of OCD borderline. We like to have checklists, and they're available. There is a lot of good stuff on our District 86 and Toastmaster International website where you can go and download that material. But at the end of the day, let's say if the trophy for the third place is just slightly larger than the trophy for the second place, it's not ideal. But what is really, really important to keep in mind when you are conducting the contest is that the contest did not, went clean as far as the execution of the speeches, that the judging went without the problems of if there were any discussions or any decisions to be made, that they're all clear, and that whatever level of the contest is being done, you have a clear winner, and that winner can then represent the level to going further. So again, that is the gist of the contest, and this is really where you need to focus. As far as little things that maybe they look big, oh, well, we misspelled somebody's name at the certificate. Well, you know what? You can give a proper certificate afterwards. It's not really the best scenario, but it's not a big deal, right? Going back to question, what you really need to worry about when you're doing a contest is to make sure that everything from the contest execution is done clearly and nobody's challenging that, because that's what we don't want. Okay, moving on to the next slide. And actually, sorry, are there any questions? And again, I just want to make sure we are recording, but you're okay to ask questions. We actually like when audience asks questions as Toastmasters, because it shows that people are paying attention. So can I please get the question, at least one from maybe a chat, if you don't feel comfortable speaking?
So Dragana,
yes.
This year it's evaluation contest. So how do
right.
they're going to be rotating, right? The second one, the non-required contest. Yes.
So I know humorous was the second one in a play with the evaluation. However, we did choose two years in a row to go with the evaluation one. So as far as next year, it might be humorous, but it's a district decision really to decide what would be the alternate one. So I think it's good to shuffle occasionally, just because, as I mentioned, it allows for different, a bit of change in a contest type. But at the end of the day, it's really what the district decides that clubs will follow. Again, clubs, areas, and divisions, of course. But as I mentioned, clubs, if they like, and I know a lot of clubs do tall tales contests as well, and I don't think they're done on the district level for many years now, but they find it funny, and thanks, Sue. I'll come to the answer quickly, but yeah, so it's really, again, something we need to really go year per year as far as the alternate contest. Okay, there you go. Thank you.
We're good.
Okay, so I had a quick question from Sue, and then we'll move to the next slide. It's how to choose location for the contest. As I mentioned, ideally it should be something that works for all. What it's also very important to talk to the person organizing the contest a year before, because that will give you some sort of idea what's commonly, what's the common show up as far as how many people are coming. Also, there are different types of rooms that you can organize contests at. Ideally, if you can find something that will not charge you. Yeah, thanks, Gloria. Yeah, that totally makes sense. So club level, definitely at the clubs, but anything past the club, I would say, as any meeting, a Toastmaster meeting sort of recommendation is find something, if you can, that's free. Now, I know not many places offer big, accommodating big audiences are free. So be prepared to, in cases like I've heard churches doing most of this, asking, or not asking, but you donate, $150 for the room, for use of the room. In some places like community centers, I know there is hourly rate. So that is definitely something you need to account when you're organizing contests, because like all the events in Toastmasters, the objective is to break even, because, we are not in the business of, we're not banks, we are not financial institutions, right? We are a nonprofit educational organization. So it's very important that we cover the costs so nobody has to pay out of the pocket. You will be providing some light refreshments. I know some of the divisions and clubs, even areas, do raffles. Again, it's really up to your specific club or area or division to kind of decide what format you would like to do. But anything past club level is usually organized in one day, like one place, one date, one night, usually afternoon or evening. Then you do them in sequence. You do a brief bio break or little networking break in between with some refreshments, and then you conduct the second type of contest. And that's what's again usually done. So as far as location goes, definitely try to use the places that do not charge, but at the same time understanding those are very limited. That should not be a barrier. Even if they do charge, you just have to find a way to recoup that money so you cover the cost. Okay, thank you, ladies, for the questions. So moving on to the next slide, and I don't have many slides just because I will be also leveraging a lot of material from that's already there, just because I want to make sure you guys know about them. But just in brief, so some basics. I find what works really well is collaborate with other clubs, other areas, other divisions. In my previous experience with contests, I collaborate in pretty much on all the levels, just because I know this person, I know that person. But even if you don't, we have fantastic network within District 86. We have a web group, Facebook group, District 86, where you can really source not just people to help you, but also going back to the location, asking does anybody know any location in this area? Again, try to make it to proximity to clubs, just because that makes sense. Toastmasters usually gather around the clubs, but even if they don't, I know they don't mind traveling, for the good event. So, definitely use that Facebook District 86 group to ask questions, ask for support, ask for information. Toastmasters are a really knowledgeable group of people. They know things that common people don't. They're very resourceful, so definitely dip into those as well. Eventbrite seemed to be at some point with somebody the big challenge, and I have to say until I did it, I didn't really understand what's all the fuss about. And then I created Eventbrite event, and I understood why people complaining. Not that Eventbrite is complex. It's just the fact that there are certain aspects of scheduling event in the Eventbrite. And Albert, maybe we can take this as a little side note and doing a little, not necessarily webinar, but maybe a little how-to create event in the Eventbrite. And I know most of the questions come around, there is a mandatory price, let's say, and then people are not sure how to do it through Eventbrite, or if the members register and we cannot necessarily ask them all the questions that we want, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure we understand a little bit more of demographics, who's coming, also dietary restrictions. That's a big one as well, and the fact that I think in Eventbrite, all this information is available and visible to the person that's actually that scheduled the event. I don't think you can delegate anything to anybody. So one thing and this is the reason why I put this item there to remind me as well, is choose a person that will be, let's say, your registration chair for the event, and ask them to event Eventbrite, because a lot of the stats as far as who registered, who pre-registered, maybe whoever registered put a comment, can we pre-register so many, like in bulk, for all our, let's say, club members, or, again, there will be, you can really use Eventbrite in a way that it can provide you a lot of insights, but also allow members to interact with you, or you interact with members if you do have to do follow-up questions. And if let's say, person scheduling Eventbrite is somebody that you ask, can you do that for us? Because we don't really know how to do it. Well, again, at the same time, that person, if they're not reachable or you are not in a constant communication with them, you will really limit yourself as far as understanding how pre-registration goes. Are there any questions? And again, that's interaction and feedback that would be really important for you as the organizer, because it can help you possibly do some change of plan halfway into organizing the contest. Let's say, I know, again, dietary restriction was one of the big ones with the events I was part of, but, not really understanding how many people, and again, you want to know ballpark, not necessarily, in depth, but just to have ideas. So should your, a dietary restriction table be of the similar size as the non-dietary restriction, and as I'm seeing, that is becoming really, a good, not just good topic, but a good way to accommodate somebody properly, is that they're almost, I think, half-half at this point, where even the people that don't have dietary restrictions are going to those tables. But again, you as the organizer understanding this ahead of time, it's very important. So again, a reminder, make sure the person creating the event at the Eventbrite is the one that is part of your team for the contest organization. One good point that I got from one of the checklists or, references in District 86, have a backup people for the major roles. As a Toastmasters, we like to have a backup people for everything, which is, I think, a fantastic habit. But in this specific contest, going back to my why do we have contests, is often you will have problem with the conflict. Let's say what happened to us at some point in Division M is we had a person that won the first place on the area that was participating at the division level. We got them confirmed. We also, with the chief judge, we had to make sure, there's no conflict as far as, belonging to the same club. Everything was rolled out. There was no issues. We were golden, and then the first place person got sick, really sick, with I think it was bronchitis or something that they could really not go around. A second person was not available, and then we had to, we reached out to the third place, and which is okay because he was available, everything was great. However, at some point we realized we need to run our eligibility checks again with judges and a chief judge and a chair, because we did not, we did that with the first runner. We didn't do that with the third runner. And fair enough, we had to replace half of the judging team and the chief judge because there was a conflict. So this is where that backup person comes handy. Of course, you can have 50 backups because, somebody is a member of some club, regardless. So, in theory, you can always run into conflict. But having those, as I mentioned, few backup people, it does help, keep panic under control, and helps also carrying on the changes. And as I mentioned, the contest properly, regularly, so you don't end up with, a contestant being disqualified because of the irregularity. Sorry, Gloria, I kind of missed it came in and out. Oh, okay, there you go. At the club level, how many people do we advance to area for both international? I don't think I understand the question.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So at the club level, is it the top 3 that we advance, or is it only the top 2 that we advance from club to area for both evaluation and for international? Is it those first, second, and third, or is it only first and second?
We do 3. We do first, second, and third. I know, however,
evaluation for both international and evaluation.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
As far as I know, yeah. I know though as well, and this is a good habit maybe for people that never were part of organization of the contest past, let's say, club or area. It's always good and I always like to do this, to fill the form with 3 is the minimum, but it's not bad practice to actually rank them all, just because it's a nice habit. It's not a requirement. So I just want to make sure people understand that. And why this comes handy? Well, as I mentioned, on the division level, it's a mandatory that we pass all the contestants. I think it's called the notification of contest winner form to the next level contest organizer, which is again listing all the contestants and also rating them as per scores. And this is something that I was to mention a bit later, but it's a good segue. Thank you, Gloria, for the question. Next point, double check eligibility, and going back to why why we have contests, we have to make sure that everything is done properly to the rule book and as clean as possible. And the reason why we do this is not, it's a rule book, although I did say that right now, but it's because we are really trying to go away from any bias possible if we can. So, for example, often we will have, I will get an email when doing different roles in the contest organization saying, you know what, technically this person is not a member of this club anymore, but they were club for years. If I can, I will avoid getting that person as a judge, just because at the end of the day, as I mentioned, it's not about making sure that we are just playing by rules, by the rule book. It's also ensuring that we have at least bias as we can. And if somebody was a member of the club for a few years, they're very familiar. I don't know if they were friends or honestly, I should not even care about that. But at the end of the day, again, if there is any involvement of that person with the members, and they were club member for years, there is definitely, they cannot be non-biased. And it's very important to minimize that if possible. Now, of course, I know sometimes it's very hard to find people that are eligible, that are not in direct conflict with being members of the same club, or being a spouse, or being, those things that we have to look for. But if you can avoid it, I suggest you do, because that will help you really choose a winner that had at least the least amount of bias as possible. Next point, have copies of the forms. I think most of the members have that. But what I also observed is sometimes you would have, somebody else from the organizing committee saying, "Oh, I have some extra forms. Can I bring them over?" Yes, bring them over. It never hurts. Most of us have the folders or some spare copies. Worst case scenario, just bring them back with you. There is no, really no cost to it if you already have them printed. And they do help calming that panic that does happen sometimes if, we don't have a proper form. As I mentioned, certificates, I know most of the, especially area and division level contests, they use those peel ones where we don't print certificates for all the contestants and then choose just one. It's a lot of waste in printing. So try to use the peel ones, or as we did in some contests, find somebody who has a really nice handwriting, have the names of the contestants printed, so it's easy for them to go to the side room once you have a winner to nicely, put their names on the certificate. If it happens that it gets misspelled, definitely correct the error. If you cannot do it at the spot, it's okay. It's it's not a big deal. Make sure you do provide them with the proper one with the proper name afterwards. But again, at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, right? It's just things happen in the live events, and it's not really something you need to be very concerned about. Last but not least, make sure the notification of the contest winner form is filled. I know the chief judge does that, and it should be doing that by the rule book and passing to the next level contest organizer. So if we are talking about the clubs, that would be area director. If we are talking about area contests, that would be a division director. And if you're talking about division level contests, that should be your contest chair. In this year, that's me or Jackie. Either any two of us. I know we will be reaching out to divisions once the division contest level starts, asking for, making sure we have a right person, to send this information to us, because there is a lot of, why is this important? Well, there is a lot of legwork, especially on the district level, to make sure that the judges are chosen properly, that, we have all the ducks in a row. I know there are a lot of tools today available on District 86 website that you can use, which are, for example, eligibility check that you can do on your own, which is great. They were not there, few years back. But again, at the same time, if you do need any help with confirming some of the eligibility, any questions as far as, what happened or what's going on, and you not being sure really how to proceed with things, definitely reach out to the district, because that's why we are here for. I'm just trying to get out of this PowerPoint mode. Okay, there you go. Again, last but not least, I have some useful references that I was thinking we can go through. We are a bit over time, but I think that's still okay, Albert?
Yeah, that's fine. That's
yes,
fine.
Okay, so perfect. So maybe I'll just go through the references and then we'll open the floor for questions. But before I drill into, again, just a slide here on District 86 Program Quality Team. I specifically didn't put names because, we take different roles every year, so it's important that, we can reuse these slides as well and maybe add to it, hopefully, in the future. But as I mentioned, having this website, just going to the program quality part, or the part of the site, which is under District 86 Programs, Program Quality. You come here, and everything related with program quality is there for you. I know when I started with the speech contest, this is the first place I went, and I used to death a resource that was available there, that is called, just trying to go through to see, okay, I have to move this. So the useful resource I'm talking about, it's called How to Organize Club Contest and Not Lose Your Mind or Your Cool. Just be aware there are some parts of the manual or a book that are not necessarily applicable anymore because it was done, I understand, a few years ago. The last revision was in 2016. There is nothing on pathways there, for example, so just be aware of that. But there are a lot of useful information checklists, so definitely use that resource. It's fantastic. I also want to point out that we did run through some first revision of the part to do with the contests. We did the rule book was there, I think, for a while, but we made sure the images that is changed because we didn't want people to think that it's an old rule book. As you know, rule book gets updated every year with the new content. We also, I think, changed some of the hyperlink references to reflect this year. We will be probably moving some of this content around just because, as I mentioned, humorous is not necessarily the one that we are doing at the district today. So put maybe international as the first paragraph. And currently we are working on these templates. I hope you used them in the past. You find them useful, but if you didn't, they're definitely a great tool for you not to waste too much time. Everything is laid out for you there. So just go and download. As I mentioned, we did have them per type of contest. So just make sure you download the proper ones. And we are also currently updating, like as you see here, there might be some parts to do with with the conference next year. This was from last year, so we are looking at updating that part as well. What else you will find here are scripts for the chair, for the chief judge, like really, really fantastic material that there is no reason for you not to use this. It's saving you time. It looks very professional. It's according to the brand of Toastmaster and the district. It's absolutely, again, just there for you to use it. And as I mentioned, once we update the upcoming conference information, you can really start printing them ahead of time if you want. With that, I will conclude. Maybe just one more thing is that the rule book, as I said, that's a second resource that is really your friend. It's there to help you. It's very well written, although there are some loopholes, I understand, as far as explaining things. So if you ever have any questions as far as, well, what does this really mean? Or does this mean this? Or does this mean that? We are here to support you as far as the contest organization and any questions. And we also have our Toastmaster organization that we can reach out for any questions. So that concludes my part. I would like to open the floor, maybe Albert, for a few minutes, either the chat or